Welcome to the Design Dash podcast, your guide to designing a life you love. Join us as we explore the keys to living the life you want without compromise. Hi, everyone. We're here live at High Point Market. We're at the Vanguard showroom, and we're really excited to be here, and we're really excited to welcome our guests. So, I should start out with myself. My name is Melissa Grove. I'm the co-founder of Design Dash, and I'm here with my other co-founder.
Hi, I'm Laura Umansky.
And we are here with Victoria Hawley, our guest today. Victoria is an accomplished interior designer and artist based in Los Angeles. As the founder of her eponymous firm and the Hawley Collective, Victoria brings a true artist's eye to every space she designs. Known for her refined, layered interiors that feel both elevated and effortless, she seamlessly blends clean lines, organic textures, and personal storytelling. Whether through her custom artwork or her interiors, Victoria's work captures a sense of timelessness, creating homes that are as beautiful as they are deeply personal. Welcome, Victoria. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. That was an incredible introduction, so thank you so much.
Well, I have to start out, being based in Los Angeles, what is the industry like right now, especially with everything that happened in January?
Yeah, I think it's definitely a weird time right now for furniture industry across the country, especially going into this week, which I'm not sure when this is airing, but today is the 28th when this is recorded. So obviously there's that whole bubble that everyone's kind of working through. And then we kind of have a micro situation, obviously, after all the fires, where we're kind of in our own new unprecedented design timeline and world that we're about to enter. And so that is a very interesting kind of micro environment for interior design that's just kind of beginning to start. And more specifically, like a lot of lots right now have gotten permission to start emptying just for debris. And so people are now starting to like engage architects and getting to that stage. But a lot of people are still deciding, are we staying? Are we rebuilding? Are we selling? Are we moving neighborhoods? Are we moving out of Los Angeles? Are we moving out of California? So the next 2 to 4 years, I would say, are going to be really interesting and are not going to be necessarily indicative of what's going on in the rest of the industry. Because I think, obviously with tariffs and different things that we might embark on, LA is going to kind of be in its own bubble of people have to keep going and rebuilding, even if maybe the rest of the world is stopping in a design standpoint. So it's a weird time, but I think our community, just Los Angeles in general, has done a great job at coming together and kind of figuring out what are we doing and what are we doing, especially for younger families. I think that's the position, is like, what are we doing for kindergarten? Where are we living? What are we doing for the rest of our lives? And so it's definitely an interesting time just across, and then also for the design community as well.
Yeah, I can't even imagine.
I mean, what a tragic situation, but what are you seeing with your particular clients? Are most people ready to start a project? Are they like, okay, we're ready to put this back together? Is it a mixed bag? Like, you have some clients that are selling and leaving. I have a neighbor that just moved into our neighborhood because their kids lost their school and the Palisades. And so they've picked up and moved immediately. They had a second home in the community. And are you seeing like with your direct clients, what does that look like?
Yeah, so I grew up in Brentwood in Los Angeles, so most of my immediate community was either Palisades or Brentwood just growing up.
Yep.
I think I must know, obviously I have many clients, but I also know probably over 200 people that have lost their homes just from growing up, from schools, communities. Yeah. And so I know that right now around 70% of people have decided to like stay and rebuild. That's not a real percentage. I made that up based on my data point.
Feels like that.
But, also in that area, you have so many different, I would say you've obviously people that are in very different stages of their lives, right? And so you have, empty nesters or boomers that like they're like, all right, well, let me pivot then to the next stage of my life that maybe it was a little bit earlier than I was planning on. Maybe, they were going to make the move to their single story home or a condo. And that just happened way faster than they anticipated.
Yeah, it's like those life events you don't expect, and they're going to just like kick you into high gear.
So I think there's that perspective. And then there's also, like a lot of my clients were young families, and this was going to be their family home, forever. And so for them, they're at a weird pivot, and this is several people kind of all in the same stage where, their kids were going to start kindergarten in the Palisades. They were all enrolled. They were all set to go. And now they're just pivoting their life together. So a lot of people have moved just completely out of state, just really quick. And not necessarily permanently, but maybe just while they're figuring out that they are going to build a home, you do need some stability for your children while you're doing that.
Take a step back and regroup.
As we know, building a home and going through that process separate of a fire is already like a really intense not enjoyable thing for most clients.
Right. We try to make it as enjoyable as possible.
But it's a lot. And it is a lot. Add on the fact that like you're starting from scratch reluctantly in a sense. Yeah. And so I think the beautiful thing about the human spirit is what we're seeing is that people are like moving past, I think, you move through the shock a bit and the sadness will forever be there. But now moving on to like hope and like, okay, let's rebuild something great, or let's start in a new city. Let's do it great. And just, you have to be positive, especially when you have young kids. Yeah. So actually I had two specific clients that have kind of decided. One decided to move out of LA altogether. And the other one, for the time being, has relocated to Beverly Hills, but then with the plan that they'll buy a home. And so I think we're seeing a lot of that, of people either thinking of rebuilding, but the two clients I had are not going back.
So it'll just be a slow process and different for everyone.
Yeah.
I know, it's such a tragic thing to have happen. And so you've been back in LA. So you left LA for a little while. Yeah. You were in Manhattan. Is that right? Mm-hmm. Okay. And so you're back now for how long? How long have you been?
Life?
Since, no. For how long? Sorry. Since 2017, right? 2018.
Yeah. So I grew up in LA, born and raised. I went to school on the East Coast.
You're like, forever? I will be there.
Yeah. Although, after 2 days in North Carolina, I of course, text my husband. I'm like, should we move here?
I mean, it's
and have chickens.
It is lovely. Yeah, it is lovely. Yeah, it's beautiful.
So green and beautiful, and there's so much space.
I know.
So I went to school on the East Coast, and then I started my company in Boston. This was all happened during my 20s, so we're kind of moving around. And then I had my company in New York for 4 years. And then I knew ultimately I wanted to be back in Los Angeles. I didn't want to do stroller, snow, subway situation.
It's hard, right?
It's not fun. So we moved back to LA in 2017, and we're setting, we've been there since, and we'll be there, for the foreseeable future.
And that's a big difference, like living in Manhattan versus living in LA. Those are two very different places. I mean, just for raising a family, like you said, like subway, stroller situation, snow, but also design aesthetic. Mm-hmm. And so like you've got a very light and bright, and it's almost like there's some femininity that, like a lot of femininity there. How has that evolved after being in LA or being in Manhattan and starting your firm there, and now with clients mostly West Coast?
Yeah. So when I first started, I definitely was drawn to both Boston and New York, kind of pre-war architecture and all the wonderful traditional details that we have, millwork and wallpaper and trimmings. And that's really where I started, was layering patterns and all those details. And I loved it, and I still love it to this day. And then moving to Los Angeles, Los Angeles is really about indoor, outdoor living, reflecting natural materials, olive trees, white oak, travertine, ivory, neutral tone.
Totally different.
It's totally different. It's, I get to place like a Samuel and Sons trim order like once every 3 months.
Right. But you really value those.
I really value them. And so I wouldn't say it was necessarily hard to make the transition, but it has been hard for me on a personal branding level, I would say. Because
That's interesting.
I do still crave the traditional design, and I do have some East Coast clients that either like have a place in LA, and I love those projects because we get to do the toile wallpaper and the trimmings and everything. And so actually, as a personal transparent note in my career right now, I'm trying to go back to that and kind of get back to my roots a bit of like.
So you're going to bring like the East Coast West?
Yeah.
Okay, I love it.
How can I get back to a little bit more of those colorful and creative details? Because it's true right now, if you look at my portfolio, it's much more bright and neutral and soft.
But I noticed some punchy color in there.
There are. And I've been moving towards that.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because I want to get back to that. And look, I love indoor, outdoor, modern living, and I love it more than anything. And it's so relaxing. But as a designer, I think a lot of us got into this because we just love all the beautiful details you can mix together. And I think there's something to be said for speccing a dining chair that's kind of as is, or maybe in a different fabric, versus speccing a dining chair and we're doing this custom lacquer paint and here's the trim and then we're doing this pattern and I want to center it this way and then the back's a different fabric altogether.
Yes.
And like
it's like 10 different details make this one thing. Right.
Yes. And it's just, that's like what I go alive for. And so I think craving more of that, and balancing that. I have, 2 young kids, a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old. So,
little.
Yep.
Yeah, really little. So
Melissa has a 2, 3?
I have a 3-year-old and a 13-year-old.
Oh,
so I understand the 3-year-old.
And I'm in teenage years.
It's not easy.
No, I have a twin 13-year-old.
Oh
so
my God.
Like we're right there, but
it's all challenging.
It is, right?
Yeah, that's
you
true.
keep getting to the next mark and you're like, oh, I've made it. And then you're like,
no.
It's difficult in a different way.
It's just different.
Yeah. And so it's, we do have some projects out of state. But obviously I can only limit to how many I can do.
Yeah, of course.
And so looking to do more of that and more colorful and branding, but I just love, I love color, but not overwhelming. It's funny, on this trip, I've been thinking a lot, High Point. I've been thinking a lot about personal branding and like, as I go into this next chapter of my brand and I go into what I want to do, which is more product design and partnerships and licensing, what are my brand pillars? And it just kind of came to me 2 days ago. And it was kind of inspired a little bit like by my outfits for the week. And then also
Melissa actually mentioned an outfit.
You wore, I don't know if it was yesterday, but this purple pantsuit. It was so cool, so fabulous.
High Point is like a fashion brand.
I have so many creepy photos on my phone of just women. That sounds wrong, but just like
It's
women
out though. Like,
High Point, let's be specific.
but just like weird pictures. And I'm like, we should just have a thing that's like, you can take a photo of people's outfits. It's fine. Google search them later.
Totally.
But it was like partially that, a little bit of that, like inspiration really can come from anywhere. So it was like wearing that outfit. And then also I had seen a chair, which showroom was it? I forget, which is really bad of me, but I saw this chair and I loved the details of it. And I was like, that's what I got into this for, is like, and I was like, I think my 3 pillars are, with absolutely no research just coming to me at the moment, is classic, playful, and unexpected.
Yeah.
And I like those 3 because I think there's always in my design, even now, is always elements of like a classic, timeless look. I love things even in my own home that are playful. My own home is actually lavender mostly and like a lot of purple.
Okay. Lavender is very on point right now.
It is. Yeah. And it's like really postmodern and it's nothing like anything I've done before. I have like a purple lucite coffee table. It's like completely off brand. Whenever clients want to see my house, I'm like, you'll be like, I don't understand.
Yeah, who are you?
Yeah, it's like, it's your home, right? So it's like,
you do whatever.
Fun and a little more cutting edge and like,
Yep.
and then unexpected, because I think that's the surprise and delight of interior design, is like you want to see something that you haven't seen before. And
Absolutely.
Especially for me when I'm sourcing, whether for myself, for clients, but also just for myself, is like, I see everything all day long, right?
Sure.
And for me, especially for my own home, I want to see something I've never seen before. And I don't want to buy an accent chair that I've seen before.
Right.
Yeah.
Which of course takes you into either customization or finding a random vintage chair on like Facebook Marketplace or Cherish and reupholstering it or whatever. Or even seeing, like, I've seen a chair that I've loved now for 2 years, at a showroom here. And I'm like, Victoria,
just go get it.
I know. And just reupholstered in the, but I wanted to be, as an interior designer,
You're still thinking about it.
See so many trends. So you're like, I need to be sure, since this is a more trendy piece of furniture, that I'm truly going to love it in 2 High Points from now.
And even if you don't, though, reupholster it and sell it.
That's
I have a chair.
My husband, who's like doesn't understand why sofas have a 1 week
Right.
turnaround time in our house, like, in out.
I have a chair addiction. I have chairs in my Houston condo, literally in a closet, just stacked. I live in Colorado. Like, that's not even where I live. Chairs are a problem. Like, everyone in my office knows this addiction is a thing. Like, it's a problem.
Well, let's get into High Point. I want to know what has surprised you, that you've seen at market this time around.
Yeah.
Aren't you a style spotter?
Yes,
You're
I
a style spotter.
Yes, sorry.
So you have really been, you've been here looking for those things.
Yes, I have. Yeah. So I am a High Point 2025 market. No, I'm saying that wrong. Sorry, 2025 High Point style spotter. And so basically I've got an opportunity to go around in each showroom and kind of put my picks in. I have not put my brochures on yet because I picked it up this morning, but I did do all my picks before I got
So now you've got to go back and make sure it was the right choice. Okay.
But I like that process anyways, because then I got to look at everything and now I can hone in on my favorite selections. It's been really fun too, because you get to really think about what have been your favorite pieces and why they've been your favorite pieces. And so in terms of unexpected things this year, I think I've been really obviously looking at all the new collections from everything, but also more innovative ways. I've been focusing a lot on the game tables that are here, different pool tables.
Everywhere.
Yeah. So I think there's a lot of, what I like to use High Point for is learning. I love to learn from panels and different designers, just walking on the street during lunch, whatever. I also love to just look at the innovative ways that showrooms use furniture, how they place things, and ways that I would, you don't think to do.
Yeah, some of the staging is so compelling. You wouldn't think about it.
And you're like, oh, wow, I would have never done it that way.
Yeah, but here it's sky's the limit because it's they have a huge showroom. They can stage it however they want. It's really interesting.
Yeah. So I think for me, each time, I think is, when you're a designer, you're in the weeds every day, and there's some amazing parts of our job, but there's also some really stressful parts.
Some
too.
soul-sucking parts.
Yeah,
yes.
Exactly. And, High Point for me is it's so incredible to learn about different vendors and see everything, but it's also, as a designer, it's my little therapy week, and it reminds me why I did this. And I think we can kind of forget that sometimes every day, going through everything and the clients and the contract and
tunnel vision.
Yeah, but I keep hearing that from other designers too. It's this is my reset. I'm not getting stuck in the weeds every day. I'm inspired. I'm seeing new things. I'm coming at it with new eyes. Very fresh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so where are you going to place your first style spotter plaque?
So the first one is actually at Tope Furniture. There's this incredible leather fringe ottoman. I actually posted it on my Instagram stories yesterday. It's just so cute. And again, simple. It's a round ottoman, so it's classic. It's playful. It has this fringe leather and it's unexpected. I've never seen it before. So again, it kind of goes with those brand pillars and beginning to
I think you've really thought this through. You're I'm just talking about it. Now you've got this.
No, I literally haven't until this moment, but I think
this is already an elevator pitch.
But I am beginning to think about why I'm attracted to things and then related, which is just kind of how my brain works.
I mean, that's a great example, though, of getting out of the weeds, taking a step back, coming to High Point Market, getting inspired, and then being able to just off the cuff with your brand pitch. That's crazy.
Thank you.
I mean, good for you.
I have run it by no higher ups. Meaning my dog and my husband. But
they're going to love it too. I have a feeling. Okay, so you have littles.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
3-year-old, 5-year-old.
Yeah.
Okay, so talk to me about balancing that with your work. Are they coming into the studio with you? Are you traveling with them? How is that going?
It's, it's going. I'll say from a work-life balance perspective, full transparency, it's always, you're never enough for your clients. You're never enough for your kids is how it feels. You're always spread thin. But I will say, so I have a really large studio that's attached to my home.
Cool. That's great.
So that's really nice. So I feel my kids right now are both still in preschool, but they come home at 3. So I see them, they come in and swinging into my office, no matter if I'm on a Zoom call or whatever I'm doing. and they just, bring in their artwork. So I definitely feel like I see them a lot during the day, which is amazing. And also sometimes if I do have to work a little bit, we'll put on Peppa Pig on the TV in my office, which normally is reserved for murder documentaries. But when we're in an source,
Peppa Pig.
And so they actually love hanging out in my office, and it's really cute. Both of them know so much about furniture and about fabric.
I know, you're like so immersed. That's really cool.
My daughter's the 3-year-old, and she loves, like, sometimes, after hours, I'll grab one of them and I'll just like, can you come? I have to go to the framing store down the street real quick and pick out a molding. And she's just like, loves it. And she's so respectful. And even the fabric samples in my room, she's like, Mommy, I want to do like a room. And she'll lay out fabrics that like,
oh my gosh, that's adorable.
So she's super sweet. My son, and I think she will be the world's best intern my son has an incredible eye too. They both have like my neurotic eye of when things are incorrect. And my son has actually been to my...
It's a blessing and a curse.
It is. My son actually has been to our like upholstery and furniture workroom many times since he was a baby. And so one time he helped me bring in this 200-inch long outdoor cushion. He was carrying
Oh my gosh.
I was carrying like on a Saturday, but he's
like under it carrying on his head.
Yeah, but he also walked in while we were bringing that cushion in. He didn't realize that, but he passed by like a cabinet that the workroom was building for me that I had to QA, and the staining was not correct yet. I did not say anything. We were walking by carrying this giant cushion, and my son just stops holding the cushion and he points and he goes, Mommy, this is really bad. It's damaged. And he like saw the like wood parts that weren't yet like blended.
Wait, and he's 3?
He's 5.
Oh, he's 5.
But he like
still
gets
so
it.
little to get it. Yeah,
my husband would have gotten it. So like it is an amazing thing. And whether they go into, I can see my daughter going into design, but they are really interested in it, which is nice. And then to balance out the work-life balance, if they have come to the design center with me before. They have, luckily. You obviously can't take kids to any client meetings, but you can take them sometimes.
I don't know. You might want to if they're that discerning.
Yeah, I know.
It's going to be hard to say no to a 5 and a 3-year-old.
But it's great watching them get excited and to be able to see something tangible, because I think a lot of us might have grown up with parents where like, we know what they do for work, but we never go to their office and it's all on a computer or whatever it is. And they really get to see it and they see all the stuff and they walk into the office every day. So it's good. It's not perfect, but it's fun watching them learn about it and just what incredible eyes they have too.
So cool.
Yeah.
I love that. I don't know if my kids would want to come in and see where I'm working.
My girls used to come in when we were in Houston. Like they would come in to the studio. Now I live in Colorado, and so we don't have a studio there. Studios in Houston. I go back and forth, but they know what I do, and I have like all of my samples and things, and they love like getting in there. Will I have a designer as a child? Like, will one of my kids be a designer? Probably not.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think my daughter definitely will. My son probably go to like digital, like techno, electronic music DJing and production. But when I was...
well, then they're going to have a great time studying abroad together.
No, I know. When I was growing up, and I grew up with, my dad was much older, and so I grew up he was always taking me to Sotheby's auctions, and he was an art collector and antiques furniture collector. And so I was just in that environment from a young age, just having to go in and be quiet and not touch this like piece from the 1400s.
Oh my gosh.
But I loved it. I mean, there's...
but that's why you're discerning now, and that's where your son is getting...
Yeah. And that's
passed down.
Exactly. So that was kind of, so you really, and what I realized from all of that too, and why I became a designer was all these little micro moments that happened in my childhood. My stepmom's design magazines that were always there. My dad had a designer and she had created the most beautiful bed canopy for me. And that was like, broke my brain at 8-7. I was like, I had ordered, I wanted this purple polka dot bedding from Bed Bath & Beyond. This was back in 1994. And I came over because I only saw my dad on the weekends, that I came over and she had basically purchased, I think, either a sheet or a comforter and had used that to fabricate the full canopy that connected twin beds together.
Oh, fun.
I did not know that was happening. I came over like Saturday morning And I was like, this is so correct. Like, it was like my brain, I was 5.
And now I'm a designer.
Yes. I was like, whatever this is what I need to do. It was like it wasn't a similar, she literally got the exact same purple polka dot and everything was matched and it draped perfectly. And I was like, this is what I want to do. And it was like at that moment. And so all these micro moments that you expose your children to, they really do shape them, even more so than schooling. And so then now as a parent looking at that, I'm like, what do I know that they're interested in on their own? And what can I do to get them there on that path? And I can tell my son's into music and I can tell my daughter's into something with aesthetics and visual. And so just doing exposure to them. Yeah. And they'll figure it out on their own.
Yeah. And it changes over time too.
It does change over time.
Yeah. I mean, I have a theater kid. I don't even know where she came from. I've never been a theater person, and she likes musical theater. Like, okay.
Wow. That's a whole different world.
We took her to New York this past summer, and I had never been to a Broadway show until she expressed interest, and now we're like, okay, we're encouraging this now. Like, let's go do that. So, yeah, you just push them a little bit.
Yeah, and just encourage them.
That's how it goes.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about art, because you also have this collective where you're talking about your father taking you to Sotheby's. Is that where your love of art came from? And
yeah, I think I was always around art, and I went to an after-school art program basically every day until I was 18 outside of my.
Well, that'll do it.
Yeah. It wasn't by choice. It was like, they tried everything. They tried soccer. They tried tennis. They tried karate. They tried so many things that just was not for me. And I think now there's so many wonderful programs for children, but at the time back in the 90s, it was more limited. Yeah. And so it was just like they sent me to the same art school. And I loved it, but I also didn't love it because it wasn't the right medium for me, right? It was like, but I also, what I learned was just about detail and materials and how to just think outside the box. And so in college, I did a double major and my other major was fine art. And so I really focused there on nude female figure drawing and then also just painting and textural painting. And so that's how I kind of launched my artwork collection, was just based on this need for, I think texture at the time when I launched it was in 2017. And we were kind of beginning the minimalist movement a little bit. And I wanted artwork that didn't feel overwhelming. I think we all have met with clients and they're like, I don't know what I like for art, or I can't find anything I like. And, there are so many styles out there, but there's a lot that can be hard for someone to absorb or might be overwhelming for them. And so it honestly came out of me just wanting to create and make again with my hands. And also, make art for my own home. And then it launched into a collection.
Did that coincide with the move back to the West Coast?
It did, because I finally wasn't in a small New York apartment and I had space to paint outside and do these giant plaster artworks. And so now
I think that's still very much a need in the industry. Those the huge textural pieces that aren't polarizing. It's not one or the other. It's like those pieces that have a hand to them that feel like original artwork. So you're doing you have a line with forehand.
Yes.
Okay. And talk to us about that. How did that happen?
They found me, their creative director found me on Pinterest, and we explored doing a partnership together. Basically, we've been doing it now, I think almost 3 years. And so they have licensed.
So Pinterest. Huh.
Yeah.
All right.
The algorithm is the algorithm for a reason.
Yeah, right.
And so basically I sent them a bunch of our artwork, and I'm not sure the technicalities, but I believe they kind of basically 3D model it and then reproduce. Okay. And then they, from there, can do certain colors within whatever works for their branding. And then they do the scale, and then I don't have to worry about anything.
Right.
So there's the Holly Collective through Forehands, which is not original pieces, but they're beautiful. And then there's originals through Holly Collective, which is different. That's,
Okay.
And then we also do some partnerships with Cherish as well, where they have their own, they work with Four Hands as well to do their own. And Cherish is obviously much more brighter and playful. So they have a whole different color scheme that they do for the Holly Collective. And it's great. It's it's amazing to see so many of your pieces in so many.
Really?
Oh, I bet. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we were touring Wendover yesterday, and I not being a designer, I always feel like that has to be such a challenge sourcing art for clients, especially if clients don't already have a collection, or, they may not want to have a collection. And I feel like
they're not ready to invest in that.
Right. Like, wouldn't the tendency as a designer be like fine art all the time, emerging artists, like wonderful artists, but of course that is quite the investment. So how do you sell art in a project?
Yes, well, I actually never push my art ever.
Okay.
So I've never sold any of my art to a client unless they've asked. I think there's been like 2, but I just don't. I keep that off. But from my standpoint, I really hone in on kind of like what they like and what they're drawn to and what their favorite styles are. And I have them kind of do a deep dive as to what they like regardless of budget, and like what is the inspo
like
piece.
We call it our dream scheme.
Yeah.
If you could do anything, what does that look like?
Yeah.
So you have to start somewhere. You've got to start with what they really want.
Yeah. And artwork's a hard one because it's hard to kind of figure out what you like and respond to. It's when I do a deep dive with any client, when I'm figuring out kind of what their style sweet spot is in the beginning, it's quite easy for me to kind of hone in. Okay, I'm noticing you don't like thin black metal on furniture. You don't like this. I can usually pick that up really quickly on a call. And I literally have a list of like, noted, doesn't like this, doesn't like this. Whether they realize it or not, like I've already done that analysis. When it comes to artwork, it is so much more subjective. It's like they do like blue, but not like this blue, or they like it like in a deeper paint, or they don't like a floater frame, or they like it when it's in a gold frame. And there's all these different things that, they might not even realize,
tough, isn't it?
Yeah. And so I kind of start really big and then narrow in. And most of the time we do custom. We'll partner with an artist, and do something custom and have it framed locally, or we work with Wendover or Four Hands.
That's great that you have that kind of custom capability.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of our clients don't know it until they see it.
Yeah.
And that can be hard because, like you said, it may be like something as small as like they don't like a floating frame. They really hate that reveal.
Yeah.
I mean, oh my God. Okay. Now what? So what's next for you? So you've got your design firm, you're on the West Coast, you're bringing Manhattan to the West, or the East to the West. You've got your art collection. You're with Four Hands. Like, what's next? How can you do more?
Well, I think again, each year when I come to High Point, I'm kind of reminded of why I'm in this industry and what I want to do. If I'm being completely transparent, it has been a weird couple of months with, December, just in general, like a lot of my clients were traveling. And so it wasn't a heavy work month, which is great because Christmas and all that. And then the fires happened.
Right.
So everything was kind of like, I was still working, but, we had to evacuate as well. And it's hard to get work when you're like literally in shock. And your whole world is just in a different place. And so, coming out of that took actually a little bit longer than anticipated to come out of it. And just get through that fog, I would say, just even in the past couple weeks. And I truly, honestly haven't felt like myself, I would say, until like I got here on Friday.
Oh, wow.
It's been just, I've never been through anything like that in my life. And I've been through, unfortunately, a lot of things. But, and so for me now, being here and just refreshed and feeling like alive again, coming up with those new brand pillars of like, who do I want to be? And I'm ready now. I turned 36 on Friday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
It's been a very reflective birthday, it sounds like.
A reflective birthday. And I realized, I really do want to go back to making. And I'm ready in my career now to switch to more of a creative director role and shift kind of how our office works a bit more, because I'm ready to just make beauty again and not get caught up with the plans and this and that, and alleviate some of that and restructure a little bit. Because I've kind of reached that creative director sweet spot in my career where I just want to go back to what are all the beautiful things I can make, and how can I give my brain space to work and function. And you know, I am a millennial at heart. I am going through the whole ChatGPT process, and I've been chatting with ChatGPT, like, you know, when the fires were happening, and I was like, I can't do any work right. Like, I had to design a powder bathroom, and I literally opened it up. I was like, what does a powder bath? I couldn't even think. And a lot of that has happened over the past couple months where I was just frozen, right?
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
We've gotten in this work hustle culture where we forget that, like, you know, we're in a city where everyone's losing everything, and it's just a crazy time. And you're like, well, why can't I get my emails out?
Oh.
And you just get into this world where you're like, that's not okay.
You need to give yourself some grace and like you said, space.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's like, and my BFF ChatGPT was like, well, you know, you're working through trauma. Like, you can't come with anything creative when your soul feels threatened.
Yeah.
Right. And so coming out of that with just like a new energy of like, life is short. This is life. What is the beauty I want to create? Home is permanent, but maybe it's not always permanent.
Right.
And like, you know,
What is home? Then you start thinking about
how
that.
can
Yeah.
you create, maybe don't worry so much if you're going to love it forever, because maybe nothing is permanent. And when we did have to evacuate, I mean, my suitcase is very embarrassing. It was like passports, handbags, my baby blanket, my American Girl dolls. I mean, it was just like, there was no pants or shoes. I did not bring anything.
That's what's important.
Yeah.
It's your American Girl dolls.
Yeah.
Like,
It was, but then I went and I looked and I was like, oh, I want to take that with me. I wish I could take this with me. You know, when you look and you just have to take a big, deep breath, and the car's on outside, and you're like, I just got to let it go. If I need to get the coffee table again, I'll find someone on First Dibs maybe who has that lucite one.
yeah.
I will just have to figure it out.
It's amazing that that's what your brain is doing.
Yeah, what a shift in perspective.
And
This is what really matters to me.
yeah, and then to go and then come out of that and then say, okay, now let me design. I'm always designing for myself, but let me also design now for my clients with a whole new refreshed mindset of like, what is home? How do we make home? How do we make things we love? How do we learn to let go of certain things, and when the right time is to let go of things? And so I'm still not 100% there yet, but I'm definitely shifted. My whole mindset is shifted on creativity and design, and now recognizing to give myself the space to be great again, which, you know, for a couple months felt just like an impossible task. So that's kind of what's next for me is like, you know, rebuilding, obviously for clients, but rebuilding, you know, myself and my company as well with this whole new perspective.
Well, I'm glad you feel like you're in a good place.
Yeah.
That I can't even imagine what that would be like.
No.
Yeah.
And we think about that too, living in Colorado in the mountains,
Yeah.
we have fire hazard. And so
Yeah.
after the fires in LA, my husband and I sat down and were like, what would we take?
Yeah.
What would we take?
Yeah.
And where are those things?
Yeah.
And
Oh, I have a box. It has our passports. It has every love note my husband has ever written me. Like,
see, I don't have
the
any
belly
of that
buttons of my
together.
children.
Fire back on Amazon, and I just put my wedding dress and the photos albums in there, so that way it's ready to go. It's a fireproof bag, but
Yeah.
you think
It's
through
crazy
what's
to think-
important,
yes.
and then what you would really let go of in the moment, and then coming back, it's like then you come back, and it is, if you get the opportunity to go back,
Right.
it's really awkward with all your stuff because you're like, I left you here.
Oh,
apologizing to your loose like coffee.
it's sentient now. You hurt its feelings.
But then you do look at things completely differently,
Yeah.
you know, and
Yeah.
so I think it's really changed LA from a design perspective too, and I think also, especially for my clients who are going to be redesigning and rebuilding, I think a lot of it is like, we know their style, we've worked together before, but I think also they'll be ready to maybe let go a little bit and try new things.
Everyone's grown in
Yeah.
a different way from this trauma.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Well, can't wait to see what's next. I mean, yes, it is a really rough place to come from.
Yeah. But I think there's so much beauty that will come from it ultimately. And it's really a testament to human spirit and how we create home and what home is. And it's really just family at the end of the day.
Right.
And your
Yeah, of
friends and
course.
how everything is mixed together.
Community, yes,
Yeah.
for sure.
And we do have, we have such an important role, in people's lives every day, that again, you get stuck in the weeds, but like
Yeah.
you are creating home for people every day. It's why it is such a stressful job, because people are giving you all of their money and everything that's so important to them
Right.
and saying, please make this amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And, it works, but it works, there's always things that come up. And so I think bringing joy and life back into that of, let's create beautiful things. Let's work through all this tragedy and how can we move forward and just make beautiful homes again, and move past
These
it.
sacred spaces. Yeah, for sure. I love that message.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a great place to end it, actually.
I do too. I'm like, I have nothing of value to add after that. That's great. Well, thank you so much for joining. This has been an awesome conversation.
Yeah. And if anybody wants to find you, how can they do that?
My Instagram is Victoria Holly Interiors, and my website is victoriaholly.com. And yeah, I'm just around. You'll see me
And on
frequently
Pinterest, all over the place.
but-
Awesome. Well, thanks so much. This has been great.
So much, Victoria.
Yeah, thank you. This is awesome.
Thank you for listening. Make sure to check out our next podcast, coming live next week on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. In the meantime, you can find us and more wonderful stories like these on designdash.com. And make sure to follow us at Design Dasher on Instagram and TikTok. Till next time.